Still on the hunt for their kidnapped parents, Milo and Lena Graff head to Lothal in search of an ally. But when something precious is stolen from them, they have to embark on their most dangerous mission yet.
Welcome back, younglings. Spring has sprung. Spring is officially here, and we are back in the Padawan Library, the Star Wars Junior Novel Podcast. I'm Junior Jedi Librarian Levi Peretic, and with me, my co-host, Junior Jedi Librarian Tim May.
Hello, everyone.
And this week we are diving back into the Adventures in Wild Space, the canon series that is written by Cavan Scott, as along with Tom Huddleston.
This one is Cavan, right?
This one is Cavan. This is book 3/4, if you know that. And this one also has two names, differing in the UK.
I've seen the
Steel
is in the UK. It's called the Steel. Here it is called the Heist. But before we get into our movie discussion, which I'll explain in a minute, but you wanted to tell me about some movie that we're anticipating.
Some big movie news coming up here.
Oh
Be prepared.
Oh, God.
Movie that we have been anticipating on this show for a long time.
Oh, no.
They moved up the release date by 1 week. It's now coming out May 14th, 2021. That's right. I'm talking about Spiral from the Book of Saw. Yeah, we're getting it sooner. It is kicking off the summer, people.
I'm excited. I'm not actually really that excited about the movie. But the idea of the movie is shocking. Like, it still just blows my mind that it exists.
Yeah, I know.
You're a much bigger Saw fan than I am in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like the first movie, but I have no use for like any of the sequels, including 2 and 3, which I know claim that those first three are
all right trilogy, and then things fall apart from there.
If for listeners who don't understand, there's long been a joke. You have at least twice. I within the first year of knowing you a few times said the first 3 make a pretty good trilogy.
It's true.
So me and our friend Dan have said that to each other to like make fun of your Saw shit for years. Just like, it makes a pretty good trilogy.
If I had to rank the first 3, I'd go 1, 3, 2.
Oh.
The third one is it's got so many twists and turns. It's wild.
Anyway, they made. This is the 9th Saw movie, right?
Yes, it is.
Because they made Jigsaw a few years ago.
Yes, which actually, funny thing, I remember Dan and we were hanging out, and we decided to put it on, and we like got 20 minutes into it, and then we were just like, all right, let's do it. I am
dreaming that Sam Jackson is playing the new Jigsaw in this movie. If that happens, I'll be so happy.
It'd be another just character right under that franchise.
If he wasn't already rich and he never wanted to work like as an actor again, he would clean up on the convention circuit when conventions return.
Oh my gosh!
Can you imagine?
Like
Star Wars, Marvel, Saw. The 3 big ones.
That's it. He's got
Tarantino,
he's got comics, sci-fi, and horror right there. He is like a triple force if he is Jigsaw.
Yeah, and then like all the like iconic other movies too. Like he's like It's crazy because you have all the franchise shit, and then you have like he's worked with like very popular directors, and been in frankly, if he couldn't even just live on conventions just on Pulp Fiction, that would be embarrassing for all the convention goers, I would say. Or like, you know, even just see Senor Love Daddy and Do the Right Thing. That alone should give him conventions for life.
I know.
Conventions should be about real movies. None of this fucking franchise.
Oh my! You might be onto something there. That
could be real
like
movie
convention.
Like cinema convention.
Cinema convention. We get like sponsored by like Janus Films and
yes, Janus Films. People are just like Film Comment. Well, Film Comment. R.I.P. Actually, R.I.P. Film Comment. But you know what I mean. You know, Sight and Sound giving the BFI coming in off the top rope.
Oh my god! You get like people like Jim Jarmusch to do like autograph sessions and stuff. That people would be screaming.
And Claire Denis up in this. All right. Oh, God.
All right, so this week, since we're talking about the heist / the steal...
Can I explain a few things? First of all, in the last episode, and then also in my stupid bonus episode from last week, I said the next movie we're going to watch is The Hot Rock, which is a heist movie from the 70s starring Robert Redford. I thought it would be available to you in a reasonable form. I own it on DVD, but we found out that in order for you to watch it, you would have to pay either buy the DVD for like $30 or pay $40 for a Hulu add-on. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to make him do that. So we decided on The Italian Job. You were begging me to watch Heat. I
hear great things about it.
Well, it's a masterpiece, but here's the thing about Heat that I decided... There's two things about Heat that made me go against it as an idea. One, there is one incredible heist sequence in the movie. Two, really. But it's so much more than a heist movie. I don't think of it as like... It's not about building... The last heist happens like halfway through the movie, and then there's... It's also 3 hours long, and I thought like cramming it in, especially because you were on the road, I thought it was just like not going to be a super viable option.
I appreciate that then.
So
I didn't know
at some point I would love to hear your thoughts about Heat, but I don't know if we need to do that on the show because, again, I just have a fear in me. When it comes to certain movies, like, listen, there's like it's not just the famous ones that have happened on this show, but it's also like occasionally I feel too invested in a movie for me to like want to hear like a potentially like just tepid response on mic, because you know me, I'm a ridiculous person. I get too invested. We've had many serious arguments about movies. I feel like the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood thing is perhaps, hopefully, fingers crossed, the last real, legitimate, normal argument. And I put a lot of the blame on myself, although you also know very well how to push my buttons. I do. So,
well, let's hope Spiral from the Book of Saw isn't our next.
That's never going to happen. That's not going to be I don't think it matters what either of us think of that.
It makes a good quadrilogy, Tim.
But yeah, I just don't want to add Heat to the list of movies. Rocky IV, The World's End, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Zodiac. These are the movies that I have been I can't
remember where we stand on Rocky IV, but I watched Rocky IV in a hotel room this past week, and it's not great.
Good. I'm glad you're coming over to my side on that. Maybe some of those other movies you will too. We won't get into which one specifically or when or what. Because that's the only one where I don't like. I didn't like it, and you did, and it was just. I think you might still disagree with this. I think I was making the argument that 5 is better than 4. And that was, I think, where the real fight, because that's also people think the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood fight was the worst fight, but no.
That was the worst fight.
The Rocky IV fight literally became a real physical altercation. I won't say fight.
Blows.
I won't say fight, but it became a physical altercation. All right, we're almost 10 minutes in. We should probably start. So we wound up settling on, or I wound up settling on, because you were on your trip, so we didn't. So I just kind of made an edict. And I decided on the original Italian Job from 1969, which is, I wanted something from a similar era as the Hot Rock. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I was just like, yeah, let's, keep it in the same range. It was, and I wanted, and so it's and the Italian Job is a movie that if you guys don't know what it is, it's actually an American production, but it's all British actors and mostly British crew, but it's a Paramount movie. But anyway, so it's this British crime heist movie from 1969, and it obviously was remade, and I'll talk a little bit about the remake at the end of the conversation. But when I was watching it again, I hadn't seen it in maybe like 15 years or something like that, more than that probably. But I realized it's less. I mean, it is a heist movie for the first hour, but the stuff that is very memorable about the movie is the last half hour, which is just a car chase movie, and a great car chase movie in that space. And so I also it stars Michael Caine and Noel Coward, incredible performances, especially Noel Coward, who plays the warden guy. He's incredible. But anyway, were you familiar with this movie? I assume you hadn't seen it.
I've known the movie, of course, because I saw the Wahlberg remake in theaters when it came out, which we'll talk about later.
At the end. I am curious.
I watched the trailer for it after I watched it.
I have some thoughts on it, so yeah, we'll talk.
But I've never actually seen this movie before, but I've always heard about it, and what really struck me about the movie is very funny at parts, especially like the beginning, that funeral scene right at the beginning is so hilarious.
Well, so the basic premise is Michael Caine is some sort of master thief of some sort who is just getting out of prison. Some friend of his had planned a heist. He was killed by the Italian mafia and left detailed instructions and a roll of film where he explains the instructions to Michael Caine.
Which also, there was something that was very French feeling, about certain elements of the movie, especially that scene when he gets this reel of film and he's playing it and it's cut and edited,
it's definitely well because this is 69. I'm blanking on the director off top, but I'll figure that out.
I got the Wikipedia.
Cool.
Peter Collinson.
Peter Collinson. I'm not really familiar with him, but this is 69, so it's kind of the tail end of England in the 60s, which is kind of, there's lots of the John Schlesinger movies and the Richard Lester movies, like Billy Liar and Hard Day's Night and The Knack and all these movies from the mid part of the decade. This is a mainstream movie that's utilizing a lot of those kind of filmmaking techniques, which were largely stolen from the French New Wave, of course. So it's an interesting thing because it's very much a Hollywood movie, even though it's obviously European in its vibe. But it's a big budget movie, and there's specifically the thing with the roll of film.
For the year, it has a $3 million budget,
which that's pretty high. Yeah,
that's pretty high.
Yeah, that would probably be, I don't know, a $50 million movie now or something.
Probably,
like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's. But the film, I did want to shout out that one shot where he's riding on the back of a truck or something, and he's looking at the film in the light.
Oh, he's in a milk truck.
Yeah, in a milk truck.
Milk truck. Yeah.
Such a good shot. I was like, that. He's so cool. Michael Caine. This is also peak Michael Caine as sex symbol. We talked about Michael Caine with Death Trap several weeks ago. And that's him starting to enter his grand old man phase. But this is him in his at the apex, Alfie, all that shit, sleuth. So He's a lot of fun in the movie. Yeah.
There's a vibe I got from this movie, and that vibe is that Christopher Nolan loves this movie. Like, Christopher Nolan has to worship this movie.
Well, I know it's a big movie in England. Like, it's a very, it's like a classic. Like, solidified, it's a movie I think that's like well liked. It's a cult movie in America, but in England it's like The Godfather or something. Like it's thought of as like a stone cold classic. And I know there's I think there's like an annual celebration where people drive Mini Coopers.
Yeah, there is. It's like a charity thing. Yeah. They say they've raised it's all the charity. They've been doing this since 1990, and they've raised nearly 3 million euros since 1990 for children's charities. Oh. And it's just dudes with Mini Coopers driving around the countryside.
Oh, by the way, I just went up to the convenience store right before recording, and there was somebody with a Mini Cooper, but at the red light on that corner, and I was getting my phone out to take a picture, and he sped away. I was like, God damn, that would have been such good content. Anyway, so it's a pretty simple plot. He decides to finish his friend's heist, but here's the thing: the warden of the prison he got out of is this super corrupt. He's also some sort of criminal, and he essentially seemingly trains his prisoners to help, to do jobs for him. And he's played by Noel Coward, which is a very fun performance. And so he's the one bankrolling this heist, and he's doing it because he's mad at the British government and wants to give private funds to the British government or something. I'm not clear on his motives really, but that's the vibe I get. That he's I hate Harold Wilson or whatever, which is very funny. And so they gather up this crew, including Benny Hill as this. He's the computer expert, and he's he has a thing for large women.
He's a sexual predator.
He's a predator. Apparently. He's absolutely a sexual predator, 100%. I want to be clear about that, but it's only with large women, and it is the most 1960s British bullshit I have ever seen. I was it is...
My mother-in-law popped. She was oh, Benny Hill.
So yeah, it's like a lot of heist movies, it's about kind of gathering the crew for much of it, and then talking about the plan a lot, and talking about it over and over again so the viewer knows exactly what they're going to do, so that when it happens, it's extremely satisfying. When each step of the way is happening, it's very satisfying. Which, the heist takes place in Italy. It's obviously what's the Italian city again?
I couldn't tell you what the name of the city is because it's
they shot it on location there.
What city? Tehran?
Tehran, yes.
Tehran, yeah. Tehran, okay.
Turin. She's right. Turin.
Yep.
Tehran is in Israel.
You're right. Tim said you're right.
I'm an idiot. Yeah. Tehran is in Israel. Good Lord. Okay, so but yeah, Turin, Italy, and basically there's some big shipment coming from China of 4 million pounds worth of gold, and it's and being shipped to Italy, and so they're gonna shut off the security camera feeds
to the whole city,
to the entire city, and they're gonna fuck with the traffic lights to create essentially a traffic jam on every street, because this is also in the middle of, I think it's the World Cup, which there's a English-Italian match going on, I guess. And so
didn't they say the English lose too, but then they get the gold, the heist is successful, so it's a win for England.
Yeah, because I guess he's going to give the money to the girl. Well, there's also that whole bit with Noel Coward where his one of the guards gives him gets him like a newspaper that he doesn't normally get, and he's like, "Well, there's a great picture of the Queen in here."
Yeah.
And then he goes, he's like, "Oh, thank you," and he goes into the office and he has pictures of the Queen like all up and down his walls, which was pretty funny. And yeah, so but like it's all build up until like the last 40 minutes. They're just executing the heist and the getaway, which is very exciting. Just like, and it has the very famous sequence of the 3 Mini Coopers getting out of the city, going down staircases and like
going through tunnels. I actually laughed because there's a scene where they're like going down chapel steps as like a wedding is letting out, and like Mel, like they just drive by, they shout something like, "Oh, congratulations!"
or good luck or something.
Yeah, Mel was like, "Oh, I was so afraid they were gonna fuck up that wedding," because they don't even like notice like that's going on. They don't even acknowledge it.
I know, and there's like, they go up to the top of like this like opera house.
It's like an airport or something. Yeah, it's this big curved building that they drive the top of,
and they like
they
just
come
run
down.
the police around. It's so funny, and like the big famous ending of this movie. Here's a spoiler for everybody. This movie has
the cliffhanger.
Yeah, the literal cliffhanger, because they get to this bus, which is and they're gonna load all the gold onto the bus, and they're gonna drive through up a mountain through the Alps into Switzerland to deposit the gold into a Swiss bank account, and they wind up making too many sharp turns, and they're having too good a time, and like they wind up getting like half the bus like off a cliff basically. And so the gold is on one side and everybody else is on the other side, and Michael Caine starts crawling after the gold, and like the bus is tilting, and like
because they have this shot that's like it's set up that you see them towards the front of the bus, and then like he's like, and they hold on this shot for a long time, so you see the gold and you're seeing the front of the bus. And then, like, Michael Caine starts to ooch forward, and then they cut to so that you see out that back window, and then suddenly they, like, because they had, like, the screen behind the window, and you see it tip, and as it starts to tip, you're just like, like, it's this, like, great shot there that...
And then Michael Caine's last line is so good, where he's just like, he's, like, on the other end of the bus with the gold, and, like, there doesn't seem to be any way out of the situation. He's like, "Oh, it's okay, lads. Like, I think I've got a good idea." And then it cuts from the outside and just pulls out, and that's the end
so
of the movie.
Far back. And like it's this total like helicopter shot too, and it like made me like, oh, I wonder how they actually balanced that bus on the side of that cliff.
Yeah,
like that,
I don't know.
They had to have actually done it in order to do the helicopter.
Yeah,
shot,
for sure.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I assume it was just an empty bus.
But there's that great scene too where they throw the Mini Coopers off the side. There's so many cars get thrown off of cliffs.
Oh yeah, and they show the whole thing coming down the cliff the whole time, every time, and like,
and then the final one explodes immediately going down the cliff. It's so funny.
They but and then also I forgot to mention, of course, there's the hilarious song about like where the Self-Preservation Society song is so good. I had forgotten completely about the song, but as soon as it started, I was like, oh shit, this is burned in my brain. I completely forgot about it. It was so good. I think it's a rightfully like beloved movie. It's very fun. It's pretty slight. There's not much to it if you want to like go deep on it or anything, but it's a great entertainment and very charming performances. So yeah.
Yep. So that was a good time. So next week we are rereading The Dark. Which
I thought it was The Darkness. Isn't it called The Darkness?
Oh, it is The Darkness, I guess. Unless, hang on, let me see something. No, okay, in the UK it's just The Dark.
All right. Well, I suggested, because I have a list. We have a list that's mostly finalized for the next several weeks.
Right, but this was the one that I already had an idea for previous. So you go with your idea.
Okay, I now am remembering this other idea that you had, which is probably a better one. But I had suggested Darkness Falls, which I remember it just seeming like the worst, junkiest horror movie, like that came out when we were in middle school, basically. So I think it's 2003 or 4 or something like that. But then I looked at it, and it's directed by the guy that did like Battle Los Angeles. Like, doesn't seem even interesting to talk about. So, even though, but you're right. What was your idea again?
My idea is I was thinking The Darkness. Of course, the early 2000s rock band The Darkness, who are most famous for their hit songs "I Believe in a Thing Called Love" and "Get Your Hands Off of My Woman," which are their two really big hits.
Not sure about that second.
What would you consider their second big hit then?
I mean, that song that was in the School of Rock soundtrack. What was that called?
Hang on, now let me look this up because I don't remember.
But anyway, we had talked about doing something related to them and maybe doing their second album.
Yeah, we listen and review their second album because their first album is the most famous album.
Yeah, but the second album came out and then they broke up. But I know they're back together now and they've put out a couple other records.
They've actually put out 4 albums since they've been back together. But their second album, One Way Ticket to Hell and Back,
Ellipsis,
from 2005. Yeah, Ellipsis. So that was their 2005 album.
You know what? That's less work.
Yeah.
Because I can just throw that on while I'm driving or whatever. All right. I'm down for that. That'll be a more fun conversation. So,
that will be.
Darkness Falls, get out of here. What was I thinking, honestly? It's like a terrible idea. I will say this. Let's go over... I have the schedule otherwise, and I think we're cool with the rest of the schedule for the most part, right?
Yeah.
I assume you're cool with that?
Yeah, as long as the movies are easy to get.
They are all easy to get except one, which I own on DVD, and I will bring it down to yours, ship it to you. Or something.
Okay.
Where is it? It's here somewhere. I texted... Oh, that's Brooke. God damn it. I don't know how to use phones. Give me one.
This is great content.
It's incredible content, and listen, I just want the listeners to be able to prepare if they like to watch along with us. Mm-hmm. Which I think I know at least one listener who is doing that, who started listening to the show again. So,
good.
So I want to do that. Where's
and the Italian Job? We should mention if it is available somewhere. The Italian
Job's on Amazon Prime right now.
Amazon Prime right now. So yep.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about, of course, the Wahlberg.
Let's talk about that before I get into the schedule. That'll give me time to talk about.
This is a movie I know I've seen, and Mel's seen it, and so has my mother-in-law, because we got to the part in this Italian Job where like the Mini Coopers show up, and my mother-in-law goes, "Oh, that's the movie with the Mini Coopers. I remember now," which is honestly the only thing I remember about that movie is the Mini Coopers.
Yeah, I saw it when it came out, and that's actually how I saw this movie, because I believe Walmart or somebody was selling them as a 2-pack. I saw the movie in theaters, and I liked it. I remember liking it. It's directed by F. Gary Gray, who did Friday, and actually another good heist movie, Set It Off, which is a really good movie. We could have done that, I guess. But this... and I remember liking it. It has Mark Wahlberg. Ed Norton plays a villain. It's like... here's the thing. It is not a remake of The Italian Job. It is another heist movie with a Mini Cooper set piece.
Yes,
set in Italy. That is it.
Actually, I thought it was set in Los Angeles because I watched the trailer and it said it was Los Angeles. So.
You might be right. I don't know for sure, but it's not really... I haven't seen the movie in almost 20 years. But.
Yeah, from the trailer I got, they steal some gold, then Edward Norton turns on them.
That's it.
And kills Donald Sutherland, their mentor.
Yeah.
And then from
that's
there,
all in the trailer? That's
it's
crazy.
a revenge thing with, Charlize Theron's also in it. Vin Diesel's in it.
Yeah, early Vin.
Oh, Seth Green is also in it, too.
It's stacked. It has tons of people. I need to rewatch it. Statham's in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's... I wanted to watch it again before this, but I just didn't have time. But
watching the trailer, Norton's facial hair is so funny. Norton as the villain is
because that
so
comes
funny.
off of his like hot streak run, and I think he like was contractually obligated to be in a Paramount movie or something. And like from what if I recall, he was like very annoyed to be in that movie. Which, guess what? If that's your junk role, like that's a fun role. Have fun, you know.
Speaking of contractually obligated roles, do you know the story of the Cat in the Hat movie?
Oh, that Mike Myers, that was a contractual obligation.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah, they wanted a Sprockets movie based off the SNL sketch, and finally he was like, no, I'm not doing it. And then they took him to court, and they were like, no, you have to be in a movie. And they were just like, oh, well, we have this Cat in the Hat joint that we wanted Tim Allen for. No, put Mike Myers in that.
Yeah, he was like punished, basically, for not making the Sprockets movie, which is crazy, because it's like, just make a Sprockets movie.
Right.
Like, you at least don't have to do like hours of makeup every day. Like that movie's so bad.
He loves the makeup.
I know, but like for something that he didn't like create, he might not like it as much, is my guess.
Yeah, you would think so.
But,
that movie's wild.
Yeah, that's I believe also 2003, so that's crazy. Italian Job. No, I got it as a 2-pack, and I don't know if you remember this thing. It wasn't like a 2-pack like what it is now, where it's all in one case. It would be like both DVDs bundled together side by side. You know what I'm talking about?
I do remember those.
Yeah, and so I remember I got both of them, and it was, and that's how I saw the original. And I remember for a little while, because that was 03, 04, so I was like 12, 13. So I still hadn't seen a ton of movies. So I remember, I think I used to have like the original Italian Job like in like a favorite movies list, like an early favorite movies list from me. So there's some Tim history there.
I remember, speaking of that, in the MySpace days where you could have sections like your favorite movies, TV, music. Basically any movie I ever saw was put onto that movie list. My movie list was stupidly long.
Yeah, no.
I know there was some embarrassing things on there too.
You know, we've talked about Letterboxd. There was a website way back in the day, like mid 2000s. I don't know if you were ever on Your Movie Database. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Your Movie Database, YMDB. It was, you could create a top 20 list, your personal top 20 list, and like it would had like a little comment section on the side, not underneath, on the side. And people would like comment and like talk shit basically, and it was just like me and like our friend Dan and other friends of ours were all on it, and it was like it was pretty cool, but it went away after a while. And I mean, Letterboxd is like a far superior platform, even though I don't use it anymore. But that's just for my own dumb bullshit. Yeah, so so here we go. Like this is roughly what we have planned, and this is all subject to change depending on availability or if we feel like doing something else. So next week we are going to do that Second Darkness album we talked about.
One-way ticket to hell, ellipses, and back.
There we go. The following week we're covering The Cold, which is the next book in Adventures in Wild Space. So we're going to watch Cold Turkey, the only movie directed by Norman Lear, the television guy. It stars Dick Van Dyke as a priest in a town that all decide to quit smoking at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Very fun movie. Very fun movie. Then the next book is The Rescue, and we'll be watching the Disney movie The Rescuers, the first one. From 19...
That'll be very fun, because I really enjoyed both of the Rescuers movies as a kid, so I haven't seen them in a very long time.
Yeah, the first one's a lot of fun. I haven't seen the second one in a million years, but...
Down Under.
I mean, maybe I'll try to watch both. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. I didn't watch the Italian Job remake, so... Then after that, we'll be returning to... because that's the last book in Adventures in Wild Space.
Right.
So then after that, we'll be returning to Junior Jedi Knights with Anakin's Quest, and we settled on The Quest for Camelot, the Warner Brothers animation movie from 1998, which there's some interesting behind-the-scenes stuff there that's like could be fun to talk about. The next book is Vader's Fortress, and I heard about this movie called Fortress, this Australian movie from 1985. That you can watch it on YouTube. Somebody uploaded it. And it's about a school teacher who like is in a single single classroom school, like with all ages, and this is set in the 80s, like, but she, and she like, and a group, like a gang of like Santa mask wearing criminals kidnap them, and like there's a siege in the schoolhouse. I heard this was recommended to me on a podcast.
This sounds wild.
Yeah, I believe the Pure Cinema podcast with Brian Saar, who I don't know if you know who that is, but yeah,
No.
I met him, not met him, but I had communicated with him briefly in a previous movie related life. And now he hosts this show, and he had Tarantino on, who loves this movie apparently. But it sounds insane, and whether it's good or not, it'll be fun to talk about. So then, and then we have Kenobi's Blade, which is the last Junior Jedi Knights book, and we're gonna watch Sui Hark's The Blade, which is
and this is the one that's hard to find, right?
I have a Warner archive made on demand DVD of it. So, so worst case scenario for you, I will bring it to your wherever you are at the time, and we'll watch it together, and it'll be
all
fun.
right. I like that idea.
So that is for the time. I mean, obviously we'll be doing more eventually, but we haven't settled on what the next series is.
I know
like
there was a schedule. We have I'll have to actually listen to the episode to know where we're going, like book series from there. I don't remember like what we're doing after that.
And that was all subject to change anyway. So anyway, thanks for listening to this podcast about the Italian Job. Are we wrapping up now, or do we have something else to talk about?
Oh, we have to talk about Adventures in Wild Space 3/4, The Heist, a.k.a. The Steal.
Yes, I remember now. All right, stay tuned, everybody. Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim May, here, as always, with Levi Paratic.
Hello.
And this week, we're returning. We're venturing back. Venturing's wrong. Whatever. We're embarking on a new adventure in Wild Space.
In Wild Space.
The Heist, and we're just going to call it The Heist from here on because we live in America. I'm sorry to all...
This is America, damn it.
No, listen, I say that with all the shame necessary. Although, not like the UK has... They have plenty to be ashamed of, too, in their history and in their present. So... I don't feel like they could really feel superior to us in any real way. But
Tim, let me ask you something. Have you ever actually met a British person
a couple
before?
times here or there? I don't know any British people. I want to be clear, but I've met some.
Same here. I've met some. Were they all snotty to you too?
No.
Like
they were all very nice.
All right, I've met some snotty English people.
Okay,
so
maybe that's
opinion.
a projection thing. Like you gotta be. Have you met them? And actually really interact with them, or just had a brief interaction?
Really, no.
Like that's all. You can't really judge people based on that.
I had a coworker once who her boyfriend was like from England, and he like came to visit, and like so we were introduced, but he was just like this nose in the air snotty, and I was just like, hey, I can't help that we beat you so many years ago.
Oh my God, you are the ugly American. That's what you are. So, I mean, listen, I'm just saying that we both are countries with truly shameful histories. And we should all feel ashamed, and I don't really appreciate it when British people pretend like they have anything over us when they raped and pillaged the entire world for like 4 centuries. So, I'm not excusing us over the last century, by the way, or our own people, all that kind of stuff. But
we came from somewhere. We were birthed from somewhere.
There's a similar mentality. That's all I'll say. Okay. So, I don't know, why are we talking about this? All right, The Heist. We're going to call it The Heist because that's what it's called in America, not The Steal, which we know it's called that in England. Good Lord. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, Lena and Milo, Graf, the Graf children, they are... Off the last book, they are following a hot lead, some rebel-sounding activity on Lothal. So we're going to.
And
Lothal.
remember, their parent. This has been a while, so let's just refresh People, their parents have been kidnapped by the Empire. They're cartographers. They've been kidnapped by the Empire, so they've been through several adventures, running from the Empire, running from beasties, all kinds of stuff. But this book, they're headed to Lothal, which, if you're not familiar with Rebels, Lothal is the planet in Rebels, especially in the first season. They kind of moved past it at a certain point, but it's largely they return a few times. But so this book was published in 2016 in England. It was published 2017 here, but so that's a couple years into Rebels' run. So that's some context for everybody. But so they're heading to Lothal, and I read the first part of this at 2 a.m. So let me just.
Oh, the first part is with Captain. This is where the only time we see Captain Corda.
Oh, the Imperial villain with the iron jaw.
And he's got a demotion recently because he lost the kids. Vader's pissed at him. He's got to deal with lackeys like Lieutenant Jams.
Yeah, Lieutenant Jams. What a name.
Lieutenant. I know, right? I hope we see Jams again, honestly. But we find out that Corda has tapped the help of a bounty hunter, and this bounty hunter's name is the Shade. And the Shade is shady as hell. So, like, right in this beginning part, he calls the Shade, and the Shade says, "Captain, this is not a convenient time." And then, like, Corda's like, "I've told you not to use my rank on an open channel. I'll decide if it's convenient."
Yeah, he's just like, "I don't want people to know I've been demoted."
And then, like, so the Shade calls him Sir, and Corda's like, that's better. And then, like, Shade's like, "Oh, I'm following a lead." And at that point, he's like, "Oh, I need tell me more." And the Shade's like, and then the Shade is out. And I want to note that the Shade kind of looks like, in the illustrations, looks a little bit like Black Panther, in my opinion.
Okay, let me look at the illustration again. Oh, actually, yeah, the mask design is a little Black Panther. You're right.
Little MCU Black Panther-ish there. Yeah. So that's, yep. So the Shade is shady. And the Shade knows that, and then we go back to the Shade and we meet Megan, who was one of those the people that the children met in the last book on the planet of Beasties.
And she gets the lead. They're going to Lothal. She like beats it out of her, basically.
Spoiler: the Shade is a she, because they refer to the Shade as a he for most of the book.
Sure.
So,
okay. Well, the Shade, yes, is a woman. Sorry.
Yes.
You guys, most of you who don't read the books are listening to this to be spoiled on the contents of the books. So I feel like, All right.
But
yeah, go ahead.
But the kids, they get to Lothal. They're low on fuel. They're low on credits. They're low on food. The kids are kind of destitute at this point. And almost immediately, they meet a Rebels character, Vizago. Smuggler-esque character, and Vizago is like, "Oh, you kids come with me," and they like have to trust him, and that turns out to be a mistake right off the bat. From what I've seen of Rebels, I don't remember Vizago being this bad of a guy, in my opinion.
He's not.
But this book, he's not a good guy. But this book also takes place before Rebels, like a size of
this is only 2 years after
Rebels.
Sith. And Rebels takes place. Rebels takes place 15 years.
Okay, yeah.
Like that. So
yeah, because Ezra was born in
Ezra's the same age as Luke and Leia. So
the Empire. Yeah.
Anyway, there's.
Oh, that's interesting because those rumors of like Ezra like showing up in the Ahsoka Tano series. I didn't think of that. He would be like the same age as Luke.
Well. You haven't seen the end of Rebels, right?
Right.
All right. I don't want to. We shouldn't get into it then. All right. That would make sense. As I'll say. I'll just say that. Anyway. So. Vizago winds up taking them to this collector crime boss Mon Calamari guy. What's his name?
His name is Rask O'Day.
Rask O'Day. So he's a Mon Cala guy.
And I also when he's introduced, he is swimming in a tank of yellowish
I
water.
like that. That was cool.
Yeah, and then he tells one of his cronies like, "Ooh, that water's stale. Flush it." Like, you know, it's like, that's kind of like he's swimming in urine, in my opinion.
Well, who knows what yellow water means to a Mon Cala. He's. They asked him if he knows where this rebel transmission is coming from, and he says he does, and he gives them some vague information.
Yeah, he gives them a location, basically.
Gives them a location, but then he says, "You need to pay me for that." They're like, "We don't have money." He's like, "Cool, I'll just take the head off of Crater, the droid." His goons rip off his head.
And they put it on a floating shelf because apparently Rask is his name. Rask is a collector of Old Republic memorabilia, and he's like, that droid's head is antique.
And yeah, I think you get the idea that obviously Crater is kind of a hodgepodge of different droid parts. So I guess his head is from the Old Republic period. So.
I guess.
Although then there's an illustration later in the book where his head is next to like a clone trooper helmet, which is not Old Republic, and it's not even an antique at that point. It's like, from a couple years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is that first generation Clone Trooper helmet that Attack of the
5
Clones,
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to see if there was like any other identical.
Maybe the collectible market in the galaxy far, far away is like the collectible market now, just blowing the fuck up. Like in, it's ridiculous, by the way.
It is.
It's insane. Cabbage.
Well, you know what?
Garbage Pail Kids cards going for thousands of dollars.
You want to know what's ridiculous? Is the Star Wars Black Series figures, because these things, like, they only put so many in stores, and then people just buy them immediately and resell them for like ridiculous amounts.
All collectibles are going through the fucking roof right now.
It's so.
I think it's because like people are bored because of the pandemic, but it's also like theoretically you have less money because of the pandemic. So like I don't even like.
Right. What I also don't get is like why Hasbro would put out like a limited number of something.
It's fake,
only
fake.
to have it be resold.
Yeah. It's false rarity, which it's better than what it was like in the 90s where they would tell people that it would be worth a lot and they would just overproduce everything.
Right.
But and that's across all collectible things. I don't know why we're talking about collectibles, but it's fascinating because like I have to say like there are like things that are like the sports cards are the most insane one right now, but like there's it's everything like I've seen like pop culture trading cards are going for crazy amounts, and that shit's worthless. But
there was a piece of gum that came in that shit. Like that's terrible.
I don't know.
Do you know about the basketball card with the Menendez brothers?
Oh yeah, of course. That's I believe it's a
Shaq, right?
Is it Shaq? I think it's a Knicks card because they were at a Knicks game, I believe. But yeah, this was before they killed their parents. But it was they were just
obviously
they were at a game, like sitting near the front, and you can just see them in the background of the card. I imagine that card is worth a lot because you got the basketball heads and you got like the dang old freaks that love
your serial killer
heads.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Why are we talking? Okay. Back to the heist.
Yes, collectible.
But yeah, he's a collector, and so he's taking it, and then basically they're screwed out of Crater, and Crater, they lost not only their droid friend, but also, if you remember, all of the maps and information from their parents is stored in Crater's head. So they need that helmet back, and that's where the heist comes in. So they wind up, they're sulking around, and they run into a ship called
a movable
which
beast.
Is a reference to the Ernest Hemingway memoir, I assume. which is very weird for a Star Wars.
Well, and also too, that made me think of I took a class in college called Food and Anthropology, and our textbook was called A Movable Feast too, so that made me think of that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I noticed in this book all of the chapters are named. Have they been named in the other books?
I don't have them in front of me, and but
I can get them. I just have to walk away from them.
All right. Well, I'll vamp here. So, yeah, A Movable Feast is the ship name for.
Okay, I can confirm they are all named. I'm just realizing.
All right. I will say, since you mentioned the chapter titles, there is also chapter 3 earlier. Was called Crate Expectations because. They were placed in a crate on their way to the.
Wow, there was actually a lot of literary references in these titles. With between that and Movable Feast.
Yeah, crazy. So this ship is called the Movable Feast, and it's run by this. They say because she talks about having an adult daughter, but she looks like much younger in the illustrations. I'll say. But she's obviously a middle-aged woman. What's her name again?
Her name is Shala. Shala Mondatha.
Yeah, Shala Mondatha, and she's very friendly. A Movable Feast is also it's literally a restaurant. She's feeding people. Mm-hmm. She gives them free food because they look down in the dumps.
Yep, Lena, she has a salad which specifically says has Naboo lettuce on it, which I thought
I guess, well, that's what carbonite's for. I actually, never mind. I was going to be like, that's a long way to take, lettuce, but then, yeah, you freeze it in carbonite, and
right, it stays
fresh.
Perfect.
That's what, carbonite's literally for food. That's what it's supposed to be for. So.
Yeah. The thing I thought is, I better be able to get some Naboo lettuce at Galaxy's Edge.
All right, so it's and then there's
So she feeds the kids, and then the kids are like, "This woman's so nice to us, we're gonna trust her and tell her our entire story."
And they actually play this fairly well because I think, given what I said earlier, the listeners can probably guess what's going to happen with this character. Mm-hmm. And I thought she was shady from the beginning. But the shade, indeed. But they do a good job of stringing you along to a degree where it's like, I guess she's not bad. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's that was fairly impressive to me. I mean, spoiler alert: she is the shade. She is bad. But that is not revealed for quite a while. So. They need to get back in and get Crater's head back, and she's going to help them plan a heist because she says that she used to be a smuggler, so she has some of those wily skills,
Mm-hmm. So, being that Vizago and along with Rask, they run a storage, a self-storage operation kind of thing, and what's her name? Who she's calling herself Shala. She's like, oh, I have this food that needs stored here. I'm going to actually pay. And they're just like, oh, legitimate business? Okay. So they let her in, and it's this big container full of beetles because they have to open it and see it. And actually the children are inside all of the beetles. They have masks and suits on so that they can't be bitten by the beetles. But this actually is kind of a gross thing that the kids have to do. And they describe how this actually they are extremely grossed out by this and the fact that they are just in a pool of insects here. But anyway, that causes them to get back inside the building. They break out of the thing of beetles and they retrieve Crater's head. They pull the fire alarm that gets everybody out of the building, and then they get the head, but that sets off another alarm, and then Rask and his boys come back for them. In which case, the kids then use his tank to flush themselves out of the building. That's how they escape the building. The cronies follow, but then they think they're at a dead end when all of a sudden a bearded man on a speeder bike pulls up, and he's like, get on. And they're like, but how can we trust you? And he's like, well, I'm not one of them. Hop on. So he takes them back to his compound. because he's like, it's not safe to talk in public. He gets back to the compound. He reveals that he is the man who put out the message. He's the transmission guy.
Ephraim Bridger,
yeah. and then his wife is there, of course, who is Mira Bridger. So
These
this
are
is
Ezra's parents.
parents.
Ezra the toddler is there, and they're
yeah, because what Milo gets excited. He's like, "Ooh, a baby!"
Yeah, Milo is like,
over.
he's baby crazy at age 12.
And he's like, "Ooh, look at that head of bluish hair."
Actually, Bridger, interestingly, the Noel Coward character in the Italian Job is the Bridger.
Shit. Mr. Bridger, you're right about that. Holy hell. Wow, the connections. They're endless. The connections are endless.
It's very good. Alright, so this is a cool... So yeah, basically Ephraim and Mira are sending out these signals. You actually learn... I don't know... You learn a little bit about this stuff in Rebels. I'm not sure exactly what season it was, so... But, yeah, and they... this is cool, but there's also a tracker in Crater's head. So...
Oh, I know it's on the
bill or something.
They have... she gives them goggles for the Beatles, and that's where they're at. So
basically, they figure out that because Ephraim and Mira are like, you guys do need to get off the planet though, because this bounty hunter was spotted, the Shade was spotted, and they're like, oh shit, okay, can you tell us more about this bounty hunter? And they're like, not much is known. They were spotted in this ship, though, and they showed the ship, and the ship is the Movable Feast.
Movable Feast.
So they realized, oh shit, our friend is actually the Shade. So they basically, and they realize there's a tracker, so the Shade's coming after them, and Ephraim's like, hey, I know the city like the back of my hand. I'll take these tracking devices and lead her on a wild goose chase. You get back to your ship and get off world, and we'll I promise we'll ask around about your parents and we'll let you know what's going on. So they do that. They run off, but as soon as the kids get back to their ship, which is parked next to the Movable Feast, guess who's there already? It's the Shade. She's just like, yeah, like I figured out your this lead away plan. Nice try, basically. And so,
and she threatens to kill Mork.
The monkey lizard.
The pet monkey lizard. She's got him on a chain to his speeder bike, and she's like, this speeder bike's rigged to blow. And of course Milo is like, I can't let Mork die. He is my beloved Mork.
So she leads them onto the Movable Feast and takes off. Ephraim had figured this out, and he gets there just in time to witness this, and he's like, oh shit, we're gonna have to have a real operation here and save these kids, basically, a real rescue operation.
Yeah, he pulls out a communicator from his tunic and opened a channel. He said, Ryder, it's me. Yes, I know you told me not to call you just yet, but this is important. We need to mount a rescue.
Damn, are we going to have to wait till the 6th book? The rescue?
The rescue? Perhaps. I don't know, because until then we still have the darkness and the cold before the rescue.
So that's how the book ends. Big cliffhanger.
Yep, very big. Just like the cliffhanger of the Italian Job.
So
wow.
Many connections.
So many connections.
And yeah, so this book, I will say I was surprised by how much it tied into Rebels, because honestly I thought it was going to just be like they go to Lothal, maybe they meet one character and that's it, you know.
Actually, this does some character building for Vizago, because Vizago gets one of his horns shot off, which he has the two and the one's kind of stubby, which is how it is in Rebels. So it actually does some character building for him in Rebels, which is fun.
And I thought, I was very surprised we got Ezra's parents. Like, that was not, I honestly didn't expect that at all. So that was pretty cool. And they seem to be like they're going to be part of the rest of the series, which is pretty surprising. And
it is,
because we kind of got the impression that like this was a fairly limited series in terms of what they could do, what they could use. We don't need to go into the details on that, but like that we've gotten that impression. So I was surprised that it tied so directly into Rebels, which was still an ongoing concern at the time, I believe. So pretty cool. And I think this is probably my favorite. I like this better than the last book in the series. And I very much am enjoying this series. The action's really tight and exciting, and the characters are archetypes, but fun archetypes. They work, and there's a lot of it's just very solid. A little down the middle, maybe, but not like in a boring way.
Right.
I'm gonna go 8 midichlorians.
Ooh, wow. Well, I don't remember what I gave my last.
I don't
one.
either. But 8 feels good.
I don't. We don't keep track of it. These points don't matter. It's like whose line is it anyway? Everything's made up, and the points don't matter.
Classic. Program.
We should talk about that show.
Yeah, we gotta figure it out. I do want to talk about that.
But
gotta pick out a couple episodes.
Yeah, we do. Some of those like, I need some of that greatest Orion Styles. That's what I need. But connection there. That show, a frequent guest on that show, Greg Proops. Greg Proops is the voice of the pod racer announcer in episode 1, and I know he's done voice in Resistance, the most forgotten animated show.
Maybe the most forgotten
Wars.
Star Wars project of all time.
I think so. I really do, especially because now like they're putting all of Ewoks on Disney Plus,
Resistance is on Disney Plus. You can watch it on there.
I know, but I feel everybody's going to be like, Ewoks? What's this Resistance? Nobody cares about this. So.
It's not bad. It's just nothing special.
Yes. Anyway, I like that these books are pretty direct. We don't dilly-dally around. They're they're right down the middle. That one thing's going to happen in this book because they all have this various structure where we get a premise and then that results in the action immediately. So I like that about this, and I like that we have these siblings who they're defined, their personalities are defined, but they're not like Zach Aranda, who is I'm obsessed with this.
This is so much better than Galaxy of Fear.
I agree.
A similar setup. You have siblings, and I like some Galaxy of Fear a lot, but
I actually wonder what kind of influence those books actually had on these, if any. If the writers had any sort of knowledge. Yeah.
Maybe it'd be an interesting thing to ask. I will say one last thing that is unrelated to the book, but there's a sticker on my copy of this book. It came from a book bank, Bernie's Book Bank.
Wow!
And it says, "Read it and share it." So coming for the big libraries, and we're gonna have just the book banks. And we're going to share it, you're going to read it, and you're going to return it, and you're going to share it with other people. Leave your books there. Don't go to a big library. I'm sure Bernie hates libraries.
Probably.
No, I'm sure he's fine with libraries.
I didn't give give this one a 7, and the Shade is a good villain. I like that we have another villain. I have a sticker on mine. Mine is from the Columbus Metropolitan Library, so I'm assuming Columbus, Ohio this came from. However, it could be also Columbus, Nebraska, or there's Columbuses everywhere. But anyway, Yeah, these books are fun. I like these books. I don't
No,
mind.
this has
and
been a
these
good
books,
series. Yeah.
they're super easy reads,
Oh, yeah.
too. That's like the best thing about them, too, is like, oh, I can sit down for 20 minutes and cover 50 pages of this book.
No, I'm
That's
excited
great.
to see how it wraps up. We got 3 more to go. But yeah, I'm excited. Next week is The Darkness. And again, we'll be talking about the Darkness album, One Way Ticket to Hell.
Which does not have "Get Your Hands Off of My Woman."
I remember
mother.
the song. Did you look up the School of Rock soundtrack?
Oh, I totally forgot to do that.
All right, we can talk about this next week. Actually,
Okay,
we're going to be
can.
having a long conversation about The Darkness. We don't need to do it this week. So yeah, because the first album is Permission to Land, right?
Yes, Permission to Land. Okay, let's see here. The track listings, The Darkness.
Growing on Me, which is a great song. I actually think that's their best song.
I'm actually going to put that on a playlist right now because I completely forgot about that song.
Yeah, that's
so
a
that
very
is a
good
great
song, yeah.
one.
Was that on the album or was that like a non-album single?
It's on the album.
Yeah,
I know that's on Permission to Land.
Great
so I'm probably going to give Permission to Land.
I haven't heard it in like 15 years, so I feel like I should probably give it another spin. All right, so listen to that album before next week. It shouldn't be hard to find. Probably on every streaming platform, I would guess, and on YouTube probably. But so check that out, and we're going to talk The Darkness, Adventures in Wild Space next week, and I hope everyone enjoys their weekend, has a good time. I will say I'm returning to the movie theater this weekend, Levi.
Yes, you are, now that you were fully inoculated.
I am. I got vaccinated a couple weeks ago, and I am excited to see The Courier starring Benedict Cumberbatch, which is going to be my return movie, which feels pretty anticlimactic, but I'm just excited to sit in a movie theater again. I have not cheated like a lot of my friends, which I understand. No shots. But at a certain point, I got to a point where I hadn't been to a movie, and I was like, you know what? I got to just hold out the whole way.
You got to stick it out.
I got to give it the whole year, and it's. I'm excited to go back to the movies. I have not seen a movie in the theater since The Invisible Man last year, so.
But a great movie to go
sure,
out on.
But I'm excited.
A movie, in my opinion, that this award season has been completely forgotten.
Elizabeth Moss should definitely at least get considered. She wasn't even talked about for the award, I feel.
Not even talked about. And let's not even. And Tenet, too, the movie that nobody talks about, the movie I want to talk about all the time.
People actually dislike that movie, which pisses me off.
You know what? I don't think the movie's, great, but I think, the movie is so ridiculous in a way that, I love it.
I don't mind if people did it. If people felt that way about it, I'd be fine. The fact that people think it's bad, I'm like, it's not how bad. Can you say it's bad? It's so impressively mounted. I can't stop.
As every Nolan flick is impressively mounted, and it is structured and meticulous, like the Italian Job.
Yeah.
The Italian Job.
He's a big fan, but
of course.
Anyway, we don't need to get off on a Tenet tangent.
Anyway, yep. So for right now, we are sticking to the tentative plans for next week, and until then, the books are due back.
The library is closed. Wait. The Bernie's book bank is closed. It's closed. Come back tomorrow. Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Peretic. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by The Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Padawan Library is copyright 2021. Tim May and Levi Peretic. All rights reserved.